In the year 2013, avid sports fans were kept entertained throughout the year as we saw the legendary linebacker Ray Lewis announce his retirement. Chris Davis shocked millions with his memorable kick six against Alabama. The Boston Red Sox won the World Series. The Miami Heat and the Big Three won their second straight championship, and Aaron Hernandez was arrested for his involvement in the death of Odin Lloyd. However, towards the end of that year, a Chicago native put together one of the greatest seasons in recent memory. On December 14, 2013, in New York City, 6 collegiate stars gathered together and waited patiently for their name to be called. Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M, Trey Mason out of Auburn, Jameis Winston of Florida State, who would go on to win the national championship that year, Alabama's A.J. McCarron, Boston College's Andre Williams, and of course, the Northern Illinois quarterback, Jordan Lynch. Many of you may not remember or recognize the name Jordan Lynch. This could be due to the fact that the last time I even heard about him was over 7 years ago. During this time, Jordan Lynch was wrapping up arguably his best season yet, eclipsing over 4,800 total yards and leading the Huskies to a 12-2 record. Let's dive into the life of Jordan Lynch and where he is now. Before we get into the video, listen to this quick announcement. Are you an athlete in need of a highlight tape? Do you have clips but don't know how to mix them? SC Highlights is the place for you. Follow our Instagram at SC Highlights and send us a DM asking for a tape. We usually charge $20 to $30 per video, but use the promo code SZVideo to get a highlight for 50% off. Don't miss this opportunity to have a great glowing tape to post and share with friends. On October 3, 1990, in Chicago, Illinois, the legendary Huskies quarterback was born to parents Jim and Sheila. Surprisingly, Jordan's father never played football. However, he was essential to Jordan's development from a young age. His father began to lift with him once he reached high school, and it was in high school where he would play quarterback for the first time. At Mount Carmel High School, head coach Frank Lenti implemented Jordan's speed in the triple option offense, where he would be the starting quarterback his junior and senior year. Jordan's skill set and natural ability was similar to that of former Mount Carmel quarterback Donovan McNabb, who graduated in 1994 and would go on to have a successful NFL career with the Eagles, finishing with 263 total touchdowns. Lynch was able to have a successful high school career as he was able to avoid any serious injuries. He showed off his incredible speed and was able to function extremely well under head coach Lenti. Despite this success, he struggled to gain collegiate interest as he was just 6 foot and 200 pounds. This is exactly the classic story for all smaller guys coming out of high school. This dude was told he was undersized and wouldn't be able to play QB at a major FBS program. Recruiters doubted him because of the triple option offense he had run at Mount Carmel. His father was confident in his son's abilities and pushed him to attend various camps throughout the Midwest. While participating at a camp at Northern Illinois, he knew that this was the place for him. So, in spite of all the doubters, Jordan Lynch finally was able to get his first Division I offer from Northern Illinois. After redshirting in 2009 and spending his next 2 years as a backup to Chandler Harnish, he was finally given the chance to pop off, and that's exactly what he did. He finished with 44 total touchdowns and over 4,900 total yards, while leading NIU to a 12-2 record and finishing 22nd in the AP poll. To put that into perspective, 2011 Heisman winner Robert Griffin III finished with 47 total touchdowns and 4,992 total yards. That same year, he broke former Michigan quarterback Denard Robinson's record for the most rushing yards by a QB in a single season, with 1,815. You may be thinking, how good is this guy? Well, he's pretty darn good, as that season he led the Huskies to the Orange Bowl against an eventual 12-2 FSU team that would finish 10th in the AP poll. In just his first season as a starter, he finished 7th in Heisman voting. This is highly impressive as MAC players rarely get recognition on the national stage. One of the most famous players from the MAC, which stands for the Mid-American Conference, is former Buffalo Bulls linebacker Khalil Mack, who is currently with the Chicago Bears. Lynch finished with 400 more rushing yards than the eventual 2012 Heisman winner, Johnny Manziel. With a highly successful first season behind him, his 2013 Heisman campaign officially kicked off. Social media pages were created with the slogan, "Jordan Lynch for 6." NIU head coach Rod Carey endorsed his campaign, stating, "I think a Heisman campaign isn't based off of what he could or will do, but what he's done. What he's already accomplished in 1 year as a starter is more than what some people do in a career. I know that every coach in America would sure love to have a leader like Jordan on their team." When he stated that, what he has done in 1 year is more impressive than players' entire careers, just goes to show how successful and incredible his junior season had been. His senior season was a step up from the previous year, as he would finish with 48 total touchdowns. Let's take a look at some of his more notable games from his 2013 record-breaking season. In Week 1, the Huskies flew to Iowa to face off against the Iowa Hawkeyes, whom they had lost a heartbreaker by a score of 17-18 the year before. This was a good Iowa team that would finish 8-5, which included a star-studded defense consisting of current NFL players Desmond King and linebacker Christian Kirksey. Despite their impressive defense, Lynch came to play as he threw for 3 touchdowns and finished with 331 total yards in a huge 30-27 upset over the Hawkeyes. Current San Francisco 49ers safety Jimmy Ward sealed the deal as his interception off Jake Rudock helped set up a game-winning field goal. In Week 3, Jordan Lynch faced off against Eastern Illinois quarterback and current 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Despite 6 touchdowns thrown by Garoppolo, Lynch battled it out in a 43-39 victory over the FCS team. The following week, the Huskies beat up on the eventual 1-11 Purdue team as Lynch finished with 207 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in a 55-24 rout of the Boilermakers. According to the record books, it was the first time a MAC team had beaten 2 Big Ten teams during the same season. In Week 10, Lynch compiled 468 yards of total offense in a 48-27 win over Ball State. He completed a career-best 81.3% of his passes and possibly his best performance at NIU. I mean, take a look at this ridiculous play he made in the middle of the game. This play just shows his insane athleticism. In Week 12, Lynch was named MAC West Offensive Player of the Week for a record 8th time and was a Manning Award Star of the Week after breaking the NCAA and NIU record for most rushing yards in a game by an FBS quarterback with 321 versus Western Michigan. After this win on November 26, 2013, NIU was undefeated with 12 wins and 0 losses. In an article written by Cameron Clow on Bleacher Report, he argued that if NIU were to win their MAC championship game, Lynch would have a serious shot at winning the Heisman Trophy. At the time, the serious contenders were Andre Williams, Jameis Winston, and A.J. McCarron. In terms of team record, Boston College was just 7-4 compared to NIU's 12-0, which gave them the upper hand, as well as the fact that Lynch had 3 more rushing touchdowns at that point, which is more impressive considering he is a quarterback. FSU quarterback Jameis Winston was in the middle of a sexual assault accusation, which he ultimately was never criminally charged for, and Florida State ended up paying nearly $1 million to settle the lawsuit. This accusation could have seriously impacted Winston's candidacy for the Heisman, but because he was never arrested, he was able to hold strong and eventually win the Heisman Trophy. Coaches of opponents offer their praise of Jordan Lynch as former Western Michigan head coach and current Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck stated, "I think he's the best player in college football. He's the best player because he does everything, and he does everything at an elite level. He deserves to be in New York." The dream of having a legitimate shot of winning the Heisman Trophy faded as NIU suffered their first loss of the season in the MAC championship at the hands of Bowling Green by a score of 47 to just 27. The Falcons jumped out to a 31-13 lead by halftime, and Lynch was unable to come back from that deficit. Despite the defeat, Lynch went to New York, hoping to secure a top 3 finish. With an undefeated record and sights on the national championship, Jameis Winston, however, won the 2013 Heisman Trophy. A.J. McCarron received the second most votes, while Jordan Lynch finished in third. After a top 3 finish in the Heisman vote, Lynch and the Huskies faced off against the Utah State Aggies in the Poinsettia Bowl, where Lynch lost his final game as a starting quarterback by a score of 21-14. 2 straight losses to end his NIU career after tailing a record of 24-2 as a starter was a brutal way to end a great college career. Despite this misfortune, in just 2 years, Jordan Lynch had inserted himself as the greatest QB in Northern Illinois history. He proved the doubters wrong. I believe one of the most important things someone can do in their life is to prove the doubters wrong. It gives you a feeling of confidence that allows you to truly do what you want without anyone to hold you back. Lynch was awarded the Vern Smith Leadership Award given to the top player in the MAC. He was an All-MAC first-team quarterback and was also named an AP All-American and listed under All-Purpose/Return Specialist on the 2013 College Football All-American team. As Jordan Lynch looked forward to the future, he was confident in his ability to be a quarterback at the next level. NFL teams, however, doubted his abilities and suggested that he change his position. Despite finally proving the doubters wrong at a collegiate level, the ghost of his past came back to haunt him. One major problem scouts had with him was his accuracy, especially that against good teams. That is when the cracks begin to show. When NIU played FSU, he finished with just a 36 completion percentage and 1.4 yards per carry. At the East-West game, he struggled tremendously, throwing 2 interceptions and was eventually benched for Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, remember him? This may have also hurt his draft stock tremendously as he struggled against better competition. The NFL scouting report states his height and his inaccuracy are among his weaknesses. However, they recognize his toughness and willingness to take a hit in order to help his team win. Lynch was invited to the NFL Combine, where he participated in running back drills and was able to show off his athleticism with the 3rd fastest 3-cone drill, 6.55 seconds, of all running backs since 2003. However, among running backs, his 4.76 second 40-yard dash was among one of the slowest times. Jordan Lynch, who had been seen as a late 6th or 7th round pick, ultimately went undrafted. Scouts had compared him to that of former Kansas State QB Colin Klein, who finished 3rd in the Heisman voting the year before. Both players are insane athletes. However, the inconsistency in their passing had NFL teams question whether they would be able to thrive in professional football. On May 10, 2014, Lynch announced that he had officially signed with his hometown team, the Chicago Bears. The Bears had signed him to the roster as a running back and looked to use him in a variety of ways, which could be similar to that of the human Swiss Army knife Taysom Hill, who is currently with the New Orleans Saints. The Bears were looking to transition Lynch from quarterback to running back, just as Jacksonville Jaguars had done with aforementioned Denard Robinson the year before. Lynch, without a doubt, spent that offseason and training camp working his butt off to learn the playbook and put in the effort to make the 53-man roster. He had even accepted his role to primarily play special teams. However, on August 29, 2014, it was announced that Jordan Lynch didn't make the cut. Now, the most important question is, why didn't this work out? To properly analyze this, we must look at it from several perspectives. Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune stated that Lynch lacks the arm strength and throwing skills to be an effective passer at the professional level. Okay, well, why couldn't he play running back then? Or even special teams? The Bears must have felt that he hadn't been making a big enough impact on special teams to keep him over guys who should ultimately make the roster. The running back room was already crowded with Matt Forte, Michael Ford, and Michael Bush. Lynch knew he was a versatile player who wanted to continue playing professional football and continue his dream to make an NFL team and play in a professional game. And so on January 14, 2015, he signed with the Edmonton Eskimos of the Canadian Football League. He spent 2 seasons as a backup quarterback in the CFL and was part of the Eskimos team that won the 2015 Grey Cup, which is pretty much the Super Bowl for the CFL. And he even scored the game-winning touchdown in that game. On March 8, 2017, Lynch announced his retirement from professional football, finishing his CFL career with 228 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Lynch stated that he always wanted to play in the NFL and that opportunity wasn't knocking anymore. He knew it would be hard to step away, but he was ready to move on, as that same day, Lynch had been hired as a running backs coach for the NIU Huskies football program. In December 2017, just 9 months after announcing his retirement from football, his alma mater, Mount Carmel High School, announced that Lynch would be returning to the school as the team's head coach. I mean, that's crazy. He just retired from football and he already has a head coach offer at one of the best high schools in the Chicago area. He replaced Frank Lenti, who had been the head coach of the program for 34 years and who had won 11 state championships. However, he was able to keep his brother, Dave Lenti, as the defensive coordinator. This decision by Mount Carmel surprised many in the Chicago area as they disagreed with the way they handled the legendary Lenti's departure. Lenti stated that he wasn't ready to stop coaching, but Mount Carmel decided to push him out and did not provide any reasoning or recognition of his incredible accomplishments. Although I do not know much about these events, I believe Mount Carmel should have honored Lenti in a more prolific way instead of just forcing him to leave. I mean, I don't know of any high school coaches who have won 11 state championships in just 34 years. When you think about it, that is insane, and some people alluded to him as the Vince Lombardi of high school football. When Lynch was asked to succeed Lenti, he was very surprised as he was in his first season as an assistant coach. He stated at that point he had never thought about coaching high school football. However, he slowly began to accept the idea and eventually was bought in and accepted the job. As head coach, Lynch announced that Mount Carmel will now be running the triple option out of the shotgun formation. In his first year as head coach, they would finish 11-2. In November 2019, Lynch led the Mount Carmel Caravan to their 13th IHSA football state championship, defeating Nazareth Academy 37-13. This was an important victory as Nazareth Academy, led by 5-star quarterback and Michigan commit J.J. McCarthy, was shut down by the Caravan stout defense. Justin Lynch, Jordan Lynch's younger brother, is currently the star quarterback for Mount Carmel, and he is currently committed to Temple University. This 2019 team finished out the season 14-0 and looks like it hasn't missed a beat since the departure of Frank Lenti. Jordan Lynch, in my opinion, made the fastest transition from former professional football player to Illinois State Championship winning head coach in just 2 years. This is truly a tremendous accomplishment, as many former athletes who want to become coaches have to spend many years as interns or position-specific coaches before landing a major job. Lynch's ability to win a state championship in just his second season as a head coach shows his incredible knowledge of the game and his ability to lead people to success. Playing for a group of 5 team makes it extremely hard to become a Heisman candidate, and for that reason, Jordan Lynch proved his doubters wrong and was able to have a successful college career. His experience at quarterback has ultimately helped him become a great head coach at a young age. I believe Lynch will lead Mount Carmel to several more state championships and will possibly become a college football head coach one day in the future if he decides to make the switch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why he was the most unlikely Heisman finalist of all time. Who should we make a video for next? We are thinking about making a possible what-if scenario for the 2020 March Madness tournament that was recently canceled. Comment if you'd like to see that video below. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you never miss out on some of these great videos.